So I was talking earlier on in the stream about how basically every single policy that we see from the Labour Party at the moment just sounds like reheated Blairism. Not even just policy, but we're also continually seeing the attitude is very, very similar to the Blairism of the 90s and 2000s, right? There's a real neo-Blairism moment going on in the rhetoric, as well as the policy, and as well as the kind of people that are involved in their kind of faction that are in charge. The main thing that you see across all of this is just this idea that nothing fundamentally changes, and we just tinker around the edges. No nationalizations, no changes in the structure of the economy, just we will do breakfast clubs in schools. We will have an NHS fit for the future with our different missions that we've got to grow the economy. Nebulous promises, but no real concrete changes to the economy to be able to actually understand how this is going to properly benefit working people in an economy that is really set up not in our interest, really and truly. One of the things that we continually hear from the Labour Party is around artificial intelligence, right? Machine learning, which apparently is going to be solve all of our problems, right? Wes Streeting's talked a load about it in the NHS, about how the AI is going to help the NHS. And Jonathan Ashworth, who is the current shadow cabinet for Department of Work and Pensions, he, after first of all saying that they're not going to get rid of universal credit, which is of course another one of Keir Starmer's pledges that's been broken, saying that he would get rid of universal credit in the leadership election, which is great, love it. Another promise broken, another one down the drain, which again, is not a promise that's being constrained by the fiscal rules, it's just too left-wing. They're not going to get rid of universal credit because it makes it look too lefty. That's the only reason why they're doing it for optics purposes. That's pathetic. They're going to reform universal credit, which basically means, again, tinkering around the edges. But the latest from Jonathan Ashworth, our favourite partner of someone who tried to bring down the 2017 election campaign in the form of Emily Oldknow, he's been on across the media today talking about how they're going to be able to use artificial intelligence to get people into work, right? They're going to fix unemployment with artificial intelligence. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So let's watch Jonathan Ashworth try and pretend that this is a real policy on GB News, because it really isn't. Again, it's just pretending that there's a solution while keeping everything the same. Minor surface level changes that have actively help nobody, but you can have your little article in the Times or in the Telegraph or whatever it might be talking about how incredible your new plan is and how it's going to revolutionise the country in the most minor way possible. Anyway, let's watch. They got burnt super hard by being seen as the party of benefits from in like the late 2000s. They really want to shake off that moniker. When ironically, it's the Conservative Party that's been the party of benefits by continually uprating it with inflation and giving out cost of living payments during the pandemic, which is good. Based, I'm glad they've been doing it. When obviously when Rachel Reeves says that she doesn't want Labour to be the party of people on benefits, they're just showing about how they feel about people who are unable to be able to work. I mean, Yvette Cooper was the architect of work capability assessments, for fuck's sake. So, she's the current Shadow Home Secretary, and she's the one who invented the kind of humiliating trials that disabled people have to go through to be able to justify getting any help from the state whatsoever for something that they can't control. Obviously, these were expanded and made more draconian by the Conservative government, but, as always with this stuff, you've got to look back to the new Labour era where the real seeds for this stuff was sown.
Well, Jonathan Ashworth is the Shadow Secretary for Work and Pensions, and he joins us now from Westminster. Really good to see you this morning. And you're here this morning to talk to us about getting more people into work, which is really relevant with those statistics that we've just shared. Unemployment has jumped up to 4%. How would Labour get more people into work? And more importantly, how would they pay them more as well? Because pay continues to be squeezed in real terms as well. When adjusting for inflation, it's down 1.2%. It's not.
What's interesting as well is how there's this continual drive to get people into employment, get people out of unemployment. And I'm like, we have an incredibly hot labour market at this point in time, when the main focus of our kind of economic discussion is around bringing down inflation. Well, even the Bank of England is saying that wages are rising too high and that's causing inflation, which is of course untrue. The problem is profits being caused by greedy price gouging companies, as has been shown by the IMF, custodians of left-wing politics, the International Monetary Fund, talking about greedflation when Labour and the Conservatives are not doing anything like that. Embarrassing, really and truly. But if you subscribe to a bunch of kind of very classical economic theories, you would say that it's guaranteed that the hot labour market is causing inflation. So trying to get the very, very, almost historically low unemployment that we have even further down, under their own logic, would cause more inflation. That doesn't make any sense. What you really want is an increase in a labour force participation rate in the country. But of course, we can't have high labour force participation rate because loads of people are long-term sick because the Conservative Party of wrecking NHS, as will the Labour Party when you put Strez Wheating in charge. If Labour want to leave these people behind, they don't get to whine about disloyalty when the people have leave to the Lib Dems or the Greens. 100%. 100%. I mean, they've already got ex-Tory councillors and ex-Tory MPs joining the party because they feel like it's the best career move for them. Clearly, that's what they're looking to do, right? All these political careerists realising that their future very easy job as an MP is being taken away from them by the Conservative Party tanking in the polls, and they're joining a centrist neoliberal Labour Party on the off chance that they can get accepted into the political classes inner ring. It's pathetic.
A good picture, is it?
No, that's absolutely right. So unemployment creeping up, wages squeezed again, I think for the 19th month in a row now, I think it is. People are really struggling, and I'm absolutely determined to help more people into good, well-paid jobs. So I'm putting forward significant reforms today as to how a Labour government would reform welfare, would reform our job centres, using AI and modern technology in our job centres to help people find jobs sooner. At the moment, the job centres get around 60% of unemployed people into new jobs within 9 months. But if you use modern technology, if you use AI to help people find job vacancies which are more suitable for their skills, I believe you can help.
I mean, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? It's incredibly embarrassing. Just watching him go, well, actually, we can just implement AI and it will just magic everything into existence. How? How is AI going to help? What's it doing? What's the machine learning going to be able to do? Is it automatically going to match people to jobs? Futurama style? You have been designated a delivery boy.
Get people into jobs much quicker than that, and it's really important because if you get more people into jobs, you'll grow your economy, you'll make your economy more productive, and we'll all be better off as a result. So we've got a big ambition, a big mission to get people into good paid jobs.
That's really good to hear, Jonathan, because Ellie and I, and it's no different when Isabel sits here with me, and I think we're all a bit worried about AI. We jump back and we think, oh...
It is all just buzzwords because, again, McKinley, none of this is supposed to be real policy. None of this is supposed to actually help. It's just random shit strung together that they can say on the news channels on the morning round to make it look like they're doing something when they have no plans to actually properly revamp this economy. Nothing. So they'll just chant a bunch of meaningless buzzwords and meaningless word salad to try and distract people from the fact that we have no real choice in the next election because both parties sound absolutely identical to each other.
Well, is it going to be the tail wagging the dog and all that sort of thing? But here you actually see in a practical way whereby AI can identify quicker appropriate jobs for people at the job centres, in the job markets.
Yeah, there are opportunities with AI that I want to embrace because I'm both a welfare reformer and a public service reformer. Now, of course, AI is also changing the labour market. That's absolutely right. As modern technologies always change the types of jobs in the labour market, but it should make us all more productive. It should open up new avenues and new opportunities, but we should use these tools to improve public services, and that's why I'm suggesting let's use them in the job centre. Let me just give you a quick example. I was talking to an organisation. They were trying to get young people into hospitality jobs. They rang up the job centre and said, we've got some jobs. Give us a list of young unemployed people in the area who've said they want to work in bar work and hospitality. And the job centre said to them, we can't give you that list, not because of data protection, but because they can't produce that list. That's crazy when there are people who want work, that the job centres are not making the best use of these modern technologies.
Technically, most algorithms on these sites are like AI. Like, maybe they're going to develop better versions of it, but it'll be radically different to what they do now. I mean, I don't see how it's any different to those old, like, job aptitude tests that you got in when you were doing them at school, where you just asked, they just did a survey, and they had a bunch of pre-written algorithms that matched you to something that sort of had your kind of skill set involved based upon the way you answered the questions. And then you just matches it to job listings in the area. Like, doesn't to have a program to be able to deal with this stuff. I don't even think it's AI, it's just an algorithm, really, isn't it? Incredibly basic. Sounds like they just need better database management than AI. Well, that's the problem with austerity at the end of the day. We're still running off incredibly antiquated systems in the NHS as far as computing is concerned. So, they always have these problems with lack of investment into new technology in our public services because it's incredibly antiquated stuff on an antiquated model. Why would they bother investing in anything new? Ask him to define what AI is. Yeah, exactly. It's again, you're absolutely right, and he won't be able to give you an answer because it is just a buzzword that they're using to make it sound more important or more revolutionary than it is when it clearly is not. If they were serious about AI, they would be investing in quantum computing. The Conservatives are committed 2.5 billion over 10 years. Meanwhile, China are investing over 15 billion a year. The value of the market when quantum computing is developed is 700 billion. What is Labour's policy on this? There isn't one. That's very true. Aaron Bastani was talking about that, how essentially on kind of tech investment, basically everybody's going to get outbid by China unless they properly start investing now. And I think that's broadly correct. An LLM could be a better web search tool since you could toss at your CV what work you're looking for with specifics and it can understand it, but this guy isn't talking specifics. Depending on the day and the person asked about it, AI is either a magic bullet or it's going to kill us all. The answer to it really is more mundane. It's the capitalists are going to get hold of the AI and they're going to use it to make workforces more efficient and make sure that the good jobs are being done by machines and all the shitty jobs are being given as sinecures to members of the working class to turn cranks for pennies.
And you know what? You talk about hospitality industry. I know so many people working in it, who work in it, who look to hire people in it as well. And I look at myself, and my first job for 6 years or 7 years was working in a bar, and it's so transformative. You think, how can one job help you in another? I learned how to talk to people, standing behind a bar, pulling pints, and and you develop social skills. And so it's really good to hear that you can get somebody into one field. It doesn't mean to say they'll stay in that field, but it can help them in other fields. Work leads to work, I believe.
I mean, absolutely. Let me tell you a story. You might not know this about me. My mum and dad, they worked in hospitality. My dad worked in the casino.
How much of this is just, I reckon, right? Is this actually a current affairs programme with an informed journalist and an informed politician having a discussions of the merits of policy? Or is this just two blokes having a conversation in the pub going, yeah, I reckon if you get a job, that means you can have access to more other jobs? Yeah, I reckon that's true. Yeah, no, I reckon that's true too.
Casinos of Manchester actually worked in the Playboy casino in the 70s, where he met my mum, who was a Playboy bunny girl waitress in that casino. And this was 1970s Manchester with some very famous Man United footballers at the time, which I know you'll be fans of. It used to.
ChatGPT, please create me a discussion between a politician and a news journalist in which they sound like guys having conversations in the pub about what they reckon is the solution to unemployment.
Go in that casino and would be served by my mum and dad. So, look, though they were working class people from Salford, the opportunity of those types of jobs, it gave them a sense of pride, a sense of self-belief, and, it meant the world to them because it meant they could build a home and build a family.
Jonathan Ashworth, what a story this morning. We weren't expecting that.
Have you any pictures?
That was amazing, yeah.
At least I haven't heard this story, unlike the tool-making nurse duo. I mean, you basically saw an identical story to this when it came to Wes Streeting's plan for the NHS, just magically being fixed by AI and machine learning. The thing is, AI is a tool is useful for specific things if well tested. But again, this is field of dreams shit, but the field is AI. But again, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're continually just getting field of dreams politics from both parties. Real forensics journalism there, where they interrogated nothing of what he said. Very, very true. And this is GB News as well. You'd think they'd be more hostile to a Labour politician, but I guess it's Cuddly Eamon and his arm candy refusing to actually scrutinise any of the points that were being made there. Instead of bringing on a tech expert to actually discuss the feasibility, they just swoon at the nonsense. But the thing is, as well, Morinaka, is that if it was field of dreams politics, like policy by field of dreams, in which we were getting grand scale projects to be able to actually fix the country, then at least I would get the point of saying this kind of stuff. But we're not getting any of that. What we're getting from our politicians is, field of dreams stuff where they say something that's completely minor changed how any of our systems function, our broken and failing systems and institutions. We're going to make this little minor tweak, and then suddenly this is going to revamp the entirety of this sector, and we'll build it and they will come. And I'm like, what? No, it doesn't make any sense. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. It does help out the channel and the algorithm. And if you click the bell notification icon, it will let you know when I go live and when I upload videos. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my handle is @NoJusticeMTG, and that is Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. If you want to support my channel in a more financial manner, you can do so by becoming a member for just 99p, by super chatting, or by supporting me on Patreon, with the link is in the description of this video, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next segment.